You buy a $50,000 property for $10,000, sell it for 30, make 20 grand. If you instead sell that same $50,000 property with seller financing, you can make as much as $70,000 on that same deal.
Yep.
Like, so how? We'll show that.
You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Hello, great state of Arizona and AZREIA family. Welcome to another episode of the AZREIA Show. And on today, naturally, I have my co-host, Mike Delpreet.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about land and the land profit generator with Jack Bosch. So how are you doing today, Jack?
I am doing fantastic. How are you guys?
Great.
Wonderful.
So it's a great day here in Arizona. And Jack, I saw you pulled up, man. You didn't have the top down. You got the top up, but could have the top down.
Pretty hot out there, man.
Yeah.
It is too hot right now. It's something like 95 degrees. So
Is it?
like,
Oh, you know what? I've been inside all day since early this morning. So
it's convertible time and summer here at night, though.
yeah, at night.
There you go.
So tell us, Jack, we're going to jump right in. Tell us, what did you do pre-real estate?
All right. So, I mean, as you can tell by my accent, I'm originally not from here. I'm originally from Germany. So I grew up in Germany. I went to school, college there. And then my last year of college, I decided to do an exchange program with an American university and get an American degree and improve my English, which was really bad back then. And then I got a job here. I fell in love with a girl that's now my wife for actually over 21 years already.
Awesome.
And we decided, she's not from here either. She's from Honduras, Central America.
Okay.
And so we decided to stay in the country if we can. And so we tried to get a job. I got a job and worked my way through getting the green card. So I found a job. Like the only job that was offered to me was at a software company as kind of a business analyst, and it was 100% travel. So that's what I did before I got into real estate. I was having a job, going to customer sites for weeks and months at a time, and sitting with user groups and analyzing what our software that this company had was supposed to do. I know nothing about software, so I always felt like a little bit of a fraud there and trying to bluff my way through. But it worked, and I got promotions and stuff, but I just hated it. And that became the trigger to really look for something else.
Okay.
So how did you start gradually sparking the interest again in real estate? Was it like while you were working at this company?
Yes. Well, when you're traveling, I was traveling 100%, as I mentioned. I left home at Monday mornings at 6 a.m. or so, went to the airport, lived in Chicago at the time, jumped in the airport, flew to Detroit or flew to Wisconsin or flew to wherever it was. Got a rental car, got into the office at like 10 in the morning and worked till 10 p.m. And then got back to the hotel, ate some crappy hotel food. So whatever the bar still had, and then gained like 15 pounds in 6 weeks or so, because like that's what's life, right? And then basically sit in my room and for the first year that was fun. You travel, you do things, but then it became really, really old very quickly. So at some point of time, we're like, hey, I'm sitting there in a hotel room, I have nothing to do at night. Let me just go start searching online. And luckily at that point, the internet was around already, right? So this is 20 years ago, but some people still had dial-up internet. But again, the hotel started having internet. Everyone had internet. So I was online and I was just looking around, watching infomercials. And one day an infomercial by Ron LeGrand came up and he was selling some $69 program and we bought it. And it was cassette tapes, and that introduced me to the language of real estate.
Got it.
Right? Okay. And then we bought some books. I went to Barnes and Nobles and bought some books about, again, real estate 101 and things like that, and terminology. I still got them at home. And the other day we actually kicked out some books out of the house, gave it to charity or so. And I found that original book, and the stuff that I underlined is just amazing. Like I underlined the most basic real estate terms because I just had not even heard them. Like, what is a deed? Right? What is seller financing? What is a 2x4? Like, what is drywall? Like all these different things. I had literally no idea about anything in real estate.
What sparked you though? So you're in the hotel, nothing to do. like, what was it about the commercial around LeGrand? Was it like the money?
The
was
money.
it the
It
lifestyle change?
was the money. It was the promise of being able to do something from home that makes
Mhm.
more in one check than I made probably in 6 months working.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, okay, there's something to that. But we already had decided that we needed to do something. We're already like, I kind of, when you get into an industry, especially in the technology in the world, and if you're in that industry for too long, it's really hard to switch gears into another industry.
Yeah.
Like you're a middle manager, I wasn't, but 10 years later, I would have been a middle manager of a technology company. And if I wanted to move into food industry, like who in the world would take me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who in the world would give me a job for that? Because it's a completely different world. So I realized ahead of time, I realized that I'm being sucked into a kind of like swamp here, into this quicksand of this technology world that I first of all don't like, second don't understand, third just don't enjoy my life being, and I need to get out of that as fast as I can. And I need to do something else. And so I couldn't leave because we were on a H-1B visa, which is that or sponsor visa that is tied to your employer. So if I would have quit, I would have had 30 days to find or 60 days to find another job, or I would have had to leave the country.
Oh man.
So if
stressful.
That's stressful. Yes.
Yeah.
If I would have been let go, I would have the same thing.
Yeah.
And that job was 1999. So 1998, I got that job. In 2001 or to 1999, the dot-com bubble burst, or 2020. Now that is a technology firm. So that firm went up to I was employee around 500. 2 years later, the company had 7,000 people. And a year later, it had 4,000 people.
Wow.
So that was like a roller coaster.
Right.
And that's the other thing, is like, if we get laid off, we need to do something here. We need to, first of all, we need to double up. So we worked extra hard. Luckily, didn't get laid off, but but basically we said, like, whatever we need to do, we need to find something that once that green card hits, once we have that permanent residency, at that point of time, I need to be able to pull the plug and be able to stand on my own 2 feet. It's
great.
Okay.
So we need to create a plan B while plan A was still getting us the green card.
Gotcha. So that plan B was real estate, correct?
That plane was plan B. Well, it was all kinds of stuff. We looked at opening a bakery. Like Germany has amazing bread, but how can you do a bakery if you're traveling 100%?
Yeah.
And on top of it, I'm not a morning person. I just,
well, that wouldn't work out.
Yeah, the bakeries at the grocery stores, and everyone wants their bread in the shelves like at 5 a.m, and it's like, I like to turn around at 5 a.m. and sleep another 3 hours.
Bake another 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how?
But it's the true story. I was asked to join AZREIA, and I Googled if there's an AZREIA here in Arizona. By that time, we were living in Phoenix.
Tell us about your foray into real estate. How did you get started?
Okay, so the first thing I did is I was told to join AZREIA, and it's actually not because I'm here on this podcast, because my wife wanted to do a master's at the university here called Thunderbird Graduate School on the west side of town, now in downtown. And so we Googled, we looked around, and AZREIA came up. So it's like, okay, let's become a member. So we became a member, and then the meeting came up. We went to the meeting because my wife went to the meeting because I was traveling, and it turned out it was the first AZREIA meeting ever.
Oh wow!
It was the first AZREIA meeting ever. So we're member number 2. We're member number 2 and 3 of AZREIA back in the days when we had like these sequential member numbers. Now I think it's a little different. So, and then we just soaked in education. We went to the meetings as often as we could. We learned about different ways of doing real estate. We tried to partner with people. We tried the house flipping side first.
Okay.
But again, if you don't know how much it costs to replace a kitchen, or how to replace a roof or repair a foundation or to do really anything, because we didn't have zero knowledge. We had negative 100 knowledge.
Okay.
Because if you grow up in this country, something breaks in your house, your parents go get a plumber to fix it, and then they complain that the plumber charged them $800 to fix it. But at least that this cost $800.
Right, exactly.
If you've replaced the roof of your house and it costs you $7,000 on a shingle roof, like a tar shingle roof, then it costs $7,000. We didn't have that benefit. Construction is completely different in Germany. Everything is completely different in Germany. So, and in Honduras, the same thing. It's a hurricane. It's a country that gets hit by hurricanes a lot. So you build completely different. So we didn't have anything. So we did driving for dollars. We drove around. We were told somebody, I don't know who, but somebody told us like, go drive around and look at boarded up houses. So we did that, and we wrote out the addresses. I took a Friday off, went down to the county office and researched the address, and we found them, and we sent them a letter, and surprise, one actually accepted it. And it was in the Garfield district down in close to downtown, which is coming up now, but that was back then. Not then. It was not coming up back then. Yeah. So we got this deal on a contract, the triplex, for $46,000, and I have a visual of that thing in front of me right now. Now, with what I know now, they should have paid me to take that thing, right? But he wanted to accept it $46,000, but he needed everything: electric, foundation, plumbing, roof. I mean, that thing was like a plaster kind of house from the old days, with which complete kitchen was like a freaking mess, and like it needed to be torn down and rebuilt, right? But we didn't know that. We were like, hey, $46,000 sounds like a good deal to me, right? So we put it up in the Arizona newspaper, like in the Arizona Republic, for a $5,000 markup. Got 28 phone calls. Nobody bought it. So then
we get nervous.
Yeah, we got freaking nervous. We freaked out, and we backed out of the deal. The guy wasn't very happy, but he let us out, and it's all good. So we was like, okay, that's not for us.
Okay, so you were trying to wholesale it.
Yeah, trying to wholesale it.
Okay, so you didn't buy it and take it down?
No, we didn't buy it. So
that's
good luck there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that would have been, I believe if we would have taken it down and tried to fix it up ourselves, I would not be sitting here today, because I would have learned the lesson. A huge lesson would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars that I didn't have. It would have bankrupted me probably, and I would have never touched real estate ever again in my life.
So would have had a bad taste.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you're looking at a full gut job, right? And sometimes
while being 100% traveling, and while having no idea what is a good quote and what is a bad quote. I mean, it was just a nightmare waiting to happen in that case.
So what are some points or tips you can give to someone that's new, excited, they want to get that first deal under the belt? What did you learn from that scenario?
Well, what I learned from it, that particularly after we got into land flipping, is that there's so many different ways of real estate, and not every way is the right way for everyone to start with. Like now we have flipped houses. We just bought a house in Sedona, Arizona, and we're doing a complete gut job, and it's finished next month, or actually this month it's finished. And we're putting $180,000 in that house without blinking an eye, because now it's 20 years later. We own a portfolio of rental houses. We have rehabbed houses. We have flipped houses. We own over 1,000 apartment units. We own all this kind of stuff. So now going in there, I know if a contractor wants to screw me. I go in there, it's like, oh, that's gonna be $300,000. It's like, yeah, in your dream, right? This kitchen costs $5,000. The way we're gonna create a kitchen costs $25,000, okay, because it's a place for us to have a weekend home and as a high-end Airbnb. But yeah, I know what flooring costs. I know what kitchen costs. I know what the bathroom costs. So we found a contractor. When he gave me his quote, it's like 100% reasonable. You got the job, right?
You're educated now.
We're educated now. But so it doesn't mean that doing a full gut job or fix and flip is not something that anyone can do. Everyone can do it.
Yep.
The timing was just wrong for us, because at the time I knew absolutely nothing about real estate, and it just freaked the living daylights out of me. Right? It was the wrong property in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time, and with the wrong rehabber, because I didn't know about anything how that works.
Okay.
But did we still make it happen? Yes. We just moved on to the next kind of real estate, tried that. Didn't really succeed with it either, which was tax liens and tax deeds.
Okay.
Right? We wanted to went down and bought some tax liens, and they were redeemed 3 weeks later, and we made $3.82. So, like, great.
Hey, you made a profit, huh?
Made a profit, but we realized that in order to make a profit on tax liens, you either got to have a bunch of money, because you got to buy those liens, or you got to partner up with somebody who has a bunch of money, and you got to have patience. Because if you have the tax lien, you can't just foreclose on it tomorrow. You got to wait those statutory 3 years before you can then foreclose on it. And I didn't want to wait 3 years to make money. Right? So then the next thing was tax deeds. Tax deed is Arizona is not a tax deed state, but California is. So we looked up some properties in California, went out there, attended auctions, and they were bid up to the roof very, very quickly. So we went there like with $5,000, because it was what we found was a piece of land that had a minimum bid of $500. It was like, yes, we can buy this. Right?
I love it. You guys are trying anything.
Yeah, they're trying anything. And then 5 minutes into the auction, it's up at $25,000. So it's like, okay,
Let's go back to Arizona.
tail between our legs.
Did
Let's
you
go
at least
back to Arizona.
At least go to the beach.
No, we didn't. Not even that. So actually, my wife went alone because I was still traveling.
Got it.
So we used some airline miles to fly her there, and some car rental points to get her a car rental, and she couldn't even find the properties, which is not on her because there wasn't even Google Maps around. There was like MapQuest printed out maps. You got into the vicinity, then she attended the auction. It was all bid up like crazy. She's like, nothing to get here. Came back home.
Okay.
Right? But that experience taught us something. We just started thinking about it, and what it taught us is that what blew our mind, again, coming from another country, not knowing how things work here, or knowing how things work over there, what blew our mind is that the fact that people are actually letting go for their properties for nothing at a tax sale, that's just like mind-blowing emoji, right? So that ultimately led to us becoming successful, because what we came up with is the thought is like, well, if these people have their properties coming up for auction in 8 weeks from now or in 3 months from now, and they apparently don't want them anymore, why do we have to attend the auction? What if we send them a letter?
Okay.
So we started sending those direct mails to highly tax delinquent owners, and we got people to call us back. And funny enough, everyone that called us back was land. Not a single homeowner called us back, only landowners.
Okay.
It was like, what the next question is, what do we do now with that stuff? What are we going to do with land? Like, we're trying to fix houses here, right?
Right. Not build houses.
Not build houses, not buy a piece of land. But from that, we developed then our method of just basically getting them for 10 to 45 cents on a dollar and just wholesaling them.
Okay.
So we're now virtually wholesaling land, and we've done 4,500 deals. Okay. And now we no longer focus on tax delinquent properties. That was just the entry point, because very quickly we realized that tons and tons of people who just own their properties free and clear, owned it for decades, they just want to get rid of them too. Okay. And you pay them 20 cents on a dollar, and they're really like, yeah, take it, right?
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
How did you get educated in land? Because that's a specific niche, especially for somebody being new. Everybody knows fix and flip, wholesale, and rentals, but land is completely off the grid. So how did you get educated in land?
Well, that's the thing. Perhaps you're like the bumblebee, right? You know the story of the bumblebee. The bumblebee is like, from physics, the bumblebee is not supposed to fly, right? Because the wings are not even big enough. But the bumblebee don't know that, so the bumblebee flies anyway, right?
Gotcha.
Yes.
So we refer to each other as sometimes, hey, we're just the bumblebee. We just started flying without knowing that we're not supposed to be flying, that we're supposed to know all these different things. We just simply figured, if you can get a piece of land for 10 cents of its value, there's only one outcome of that. That is, you're making money.
Gotcha.
So who cares how it's owned? Who cares? I mean, that's how we started. Now we do care. But the first deal, we got a property up in northern Arizona, which is an acre lot next to a house, across the street from a house, that a guy went through a divorce, must have been an ugly divorce, and he was really kind of like a little bitter about life, and he just wanted to kind of move on. So he moved to Colorado, and he sold everything he had here, the car, the thing. He took his dog, probably. It's like a country song, right? He moved away. The only thing he had left in Arizona was this lot, and he just didn't want it either anymore. So we offered him, was worth like $8,000 to $10,000. We offered him $400 for it, and he's like, yeah, take it, please, thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Now, if you have a residential lot, that comparable lots, like you go on websites like Zillow and things like that, and you see that comparable lots in the area have sold for $8,000 to $10,000, and you get it for $400.
Cha-ching.
You don't need to know much about land. We're not developing the land, we're not encumbering the land, we're not entitling the land. We're just flipping the land. Gotcha. So what we did is we went up there, put a sign on the property, sign on there. The neighbor comes across, is like with his cowboy hat on, is like, hey son, what are you doing? He's like, I'm selling the property. He's like, oh man, I always wanted to buy that property. And he's like, and he offered us $4,000 right there on the spot for a properety we bought for $400. And we're like, yeah,
right.
Deal done. Didn't even negotiate. Didn't even know to negotiate. Didn't even know how to negotiate. Right? Just took it and made 10x our money, and that was the beginning. And
wow,
then,
that's great.
And so, how much did we have to know about land? Really, nothing.
Nothing. Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
going back to what you're saying, Marcus, like how'd you get into it and how'd you learn? And the Bumblebee story, I think that's an important part of real estate. You just got to be in the game, swinging the bat, and like when you're building momentum, good things happen.
Right, exactly
You
right.
don't know what
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
but if you pay attention, you can grab onto something.
Right,
So
exactly
that's
right.
awesome.
So
Great story.
yeah, and then 2 weeks later, next deal we made $10,000, and then boom, 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 and then in that year we made 63 deals while still having a job, and
Wow.
that paid off our debt, paid off our consumer debt, credit card debt, student debt, put the year's worth of living expenses on our sideline, created $5,000-6,000 in cash flow because we then started selling these properties with self-financing. Where you
Okay.
basically, it's like we buy it for $2,000 and sell it for $30,000, and they want to give us $4,000 as a down payment.
Yep.
Like the math works on that,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm paying two. You're giving me four. Means I have two in my pocket, even after closing costs. I
Right.
still have a few $100s in my pocket, and now you're paying me $400 a month for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do that 15 times, you got $6,000 a month. That's more than most people make in their
Right.
jobs, and boom, green card arrives, right?
You
And
go
we're like,
full bore now.
done, bye bye. I'm like, we were nice about it. Since I was in consulting business, you work project based. So I went to my boss and asked him if we can meet me in the conference room. He's like, hey, I need to resign. He's like, yeah, I figured so much because I was probably disconnected a little bit lately. And it's like, how much longer do you need me to finish up the project? And he's like, well, how about 4 weeks? Then we're done here. It's like, yeah, because I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I don't have another job lined up.
Mhm.
Another 2 weeks are not going to kill me while maintaining the relationship with
Right,
with the people out
business.
there, and doing an honorable exit from the company
Right.
that has given me the green card and allowed me to stay in this country. And now we're a citizen and so on. So I'm
Great.
forever grateful to this company. It was made my life so miserable that as a result, we're now successful.
Okay. Gotcha.
I love it.
So let's take a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors. When we come back, Jack, we're going to talk more about land and how you scaled and started
Sure.
going up. Okay.
Are your real estate dreams on hold? With work, kids, everything else going on, time is limited. Most days you feel like the world's on your shoulders. You might even say to yourself, if I just had someone to lean on and push me in the right direction, I know things would happen quicker. Well, then you need to check out the Deal Finders Club, a community of investors eager to close more deals, sign more contracts, and just get ahead in life. The DFC provides weekly coaching, thriving online community, and all the education you need to be confident. DFC is your fastest path to closing more deals. To learn more, head over to azdfc.com. That's azdfc.com.
All right, guys, we are back with Jack Bosch, and Jack was telling us about his story on how he got started with land. So, Jack, kind of now, how did you really start ramping up? Because you did the one deal, did the two deal, couple of deals. How did you really start making some momentum with this?
So that's a good question, because even though we went to college here, we didn't know how to start a company. We didn't know how to grow a company. You don't get taught in school how to become a good manager, good leader, how to build business processes and stuff like that. So how to build what we can now refer to as microprocesses. Like, because really every business consists out of a whole bunch of microprocesses that help you scale and help you do a bunch of things. So we didn't know. Well, luckily, we are a team, and in this case, and we have lots of students now that we teach this that do this alone, but we were a team of two. So we kind of did the separation of forces. Michelle did some areas and still does, and I do some areas and still do. But the first thing was just hustle, full blown in. Like every night after work, I still have a job, right? And after work, or even sometimes doing work, right? So when someone puts a position your laptop such that nobody can look over your shoulder, and then it's like you're busy, right? But I'm really doing like property research. I'm creating listings. I'm creating things. I'm scrubbing lists. I'm doing stuff that I can do to help the business. And then from the hotel room, even though we're that tired at night, another 1 or 2 hours, because once something works, and once your goal in life, your aspirations are so freaking big, or that they become almost like non-negotiable. So we had a taste of success. We knew this is working. Now the question comes, okay, how can we accelerate this? How we can get to the finish line? How can we create that life that we want to? And what we really wanted to is really have that life that allows us to travel. We love traveling. Plus, my parents are in Germany. My brother's in Germany. A lot, still to this day, friends are in Germany. I have plenty of friends here in the US right now, but my wife's mom is in Germany. Her dad passed away when she was very young. Her cousins are in Germany and in Honduras, right? So a lot of people, when they immigrated to a country, they kind of like let their dreams die. I mean, they have new dreams, and immigrants are the highest percentage of millionaires in this country. Absolutely. And there's reasons for that, but because they come here with a hunger, and they come here with really nothing to lose, and they come here with like, I'll show you back over there that I can succeed, and all of these things are breed hunger, and they're all important. But a lot of people, especially if they just take a job somewhere, over time they just let their relationships overseas die. And we just put that we put that as a non-negotiable item, that we will not allow us for that to happen. I will maintain a relationship with my parents. I will maintain a relationship with my brother. I will maintain a relationship with some friends. So we created a lot of reasons why this is really important for us to do, and we stacked those reasons until it became such a tidal wave of motivation that no matter what happened to us, no matter how tired we were at night from our regular job, we still put in the extra hour or 2 hours. And that's just pure hustle, right?
Yeah.
That's just pure hustle, hunger. And with that, we were able to do like 63 deals in our first year, just like weekends, nights, whatever it takes, right? Get this done. But beyond that, we couldn't grow any further.
Okay.
But at that point, we had quit our jobs now. By deal 30 or 40, whereas we had enough deals and the green card was there, we quit. And then January 1st of the next year, we hired our first 2 people.
Okay.
Now we had a house up in Peoria, Arizona, our starter home. We still own it. It's a rental now, and it has like this formal living room and family room kind of separation. You walk into the formal living room, then there's a wall, then there's the kitchen, then there's a family room. So we turned our formal living room, which was empty anyway. We had no furniture in there, right? Because with what money when we started, there's no money to buy furniture. We put office furniture in there. Went to Target, bought a bunch of desks, bought a phone system, and our first 2 employees literally came every morning driving to our driveway, and they work from our living room.
So let me ask you this, Jack, real quick. Before we started talking about your employees and scaling, we glossed over spouses working together. How you and Michelle work together, because not everyone can do that. So how did you guys come to that baseline where you say, this is something we want to do together?
Oh, that's an entire podcast in itself. But the short answer is, luckily we're different from each other. So we clash with each other, and she's Latina, she can clash, let me tell you, right? So we clash when we both trying to do the same thing, because then 2 type A personalities going after each other and wanting to do that. The moment we work very well together is if she does one role, I do the other role. And by the way, those roles have completely changed over the years. At the beginning, I was in charge of marketing, and she was in marketing out to the sellers and marketing to the buyers. Right? I was in charge of that, and Michelle was in charge of actually getting the deals in. She was in charge of sending offers out, of working with the title companies, of all this kind of more detailed stuff. And that's very typical in relationship. Often the woman gets put into the role of like, you do the paperwork, right? Well, I think there should be more thought behind that, like whose real skill is it? Now, I'm not the detail-oriented person, so Michelle is. So it was a perfect match, right? Now that we have a team in place, now actually our roles have completely converted. She is the CEO of the company. She's an amazing visionary. And you know what? I recognize that. So she is my boss, which she's anyway, is my wife anyway, right? But Jim, in business, she is really the visionary of the company. She's absolutely amazing to seeing where should our business go? What do we need to reach next? Where can we expand into, and so on. And I am leading the team on the day-to-day implementation.
Okay.
So it's like it completely reversed to what it was before, because our natural, as the company grow, we don't need her to do, or like we have now somebody in the team that works with the title companies. Gotcha. We elevated ourselves, and as we saw that she's much better in this than I am, and I'm actually quite good at this and at people management and so on. So we just shifted our roles, and as long as and that's a secret to our success together, is that we're both treating our marriage as a true equals. And and I have no problem having her as my CEO because she's just amazing.
That's excellent.
That's great.
That's excellent.
Another thing I like, you guys recognize that really quickly. Well, you think, where'd you, like, second year in the business, you knew you had the ambition to grow, but to take that leap and hire 2 people, right? You know, a lot of, I think, newer investors and people trying to figure out the business that don't achieve 30, 40, 50 deals in their first year and have that experience. I like how you guys picked that up
we had
quickly.
made like about $500,000. So it was like, hey, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. But if these 2 guys can take care of this part of the business, we should be able to do much more. And indeed, we did 150 deals the second year.
Wow.
And then we actually discovered, and we no longer, well, we're actually looking into starting this again right now, but then actually we discovered that we were hitting up a ceiling of like 150, 200 deals. We couldn't do more than that. And we wanted to do much more than that. So what we then did is we started actually putting up live auctions.
Okay.
And so for just a couple of years, we did that. We did about 6 or 7 of those. We would buy 250 properties a quarter. So basically 3 months, every 3 months, 3 to 4 months, we would buy 250 properties and we would put up a big live auction in the Phoenix Convention Center and Mesa Convention Center and different places and sell all 250 properties in one day.
Oh, wow.
And just bring 800 investors in, do telephone, radio, newspaper advertising, send 50,000 postcards out there, literally invest like 200 grand in the event, have 100 people work for us that day in different capacities, realtors that sign contracts and runners and bid assistants and auctioneers, flying the best auctioneer in the country, and sell 250 properties in one day, and do that 3 times a year, and for a couple of years until the market turned on us, right?
Okay.
And then when the market went down, we realized that this no longer works because now you had to spend $300,000 and you only had 300 people coming in.
Right.
You would still make money on the deals, but it wasn't making financial sense anymore, which is actually a blessing in disguise because if you buy 250 properties in 3 months, how much income do you have in those 3 months? Zero, right? And then you sell them all in one day and you make like $3 million, which is great.
Taxes.
But, well, yeah, sure. But a lot of it is also with self-financing and so on.
Okay.
So cash flow then starts piling up, which is good, which helps in the other periods. But a much more sustainable model is to sell 2 properties a day, right? Or sell 5 properties a day or whatever number it is. So when the market crashed, we actually transitioned, we immediately switched over to online sales. And because of that, we were then actually able to have a replicable model because now we sell properties on eBay, we sell properties on Craigslist, we sell properties on Zillow, we sell properties on Facebook Marketplace. And almost all of these platforms, with the exception of a few like eBay, are free. So now it costs us nothing to sell a property.
Yeah.
And we can sell as many as we want to every day. And once we reach that point, that's when we also decided, you know what, we need to share this with the world, because at that point of time, there was blood in the streets. Everyone, every person before, like all these house flippers were driving up with their Ferrari and they're handing back the keys now from their Ferraris. They were losing because the market was collapsing, yet land flipping didn't stop. We just ended up buying them cheaper, selling it cheaper. Instead of buying it for $5,000, selling it for $30,000, we would buy them for $2,000, selling for $15,000. Our margins are smaller. Instead of making 25, you make 12.
Right.
But that's still a good margin.
So what are some of the common buyers in the world? Like, what do you notice they buy this cheap land for? Assuming no utilities, tie-ins.
Yeah.
Like, what does that person look like?
So we have 4 different buyers, really.
Okay.
But the nice part is, just to finish that thought, is that with that we have a replicatable model. Anyone, not everyone, can go and put 200 grand into an auction and then bring 100 people in and then sell 250 properties in a day. Right? That's a heavy lift.
Yep.
But everyone can take a property that put on a contract for 35 cents on the dollar and put it up on Craigslist or on Zillow and sell it for 65 cents on the dollar. And because of that, we now have students all over the world that are doing this from their comfort of their home and there. But now the question is to the buyers. So it depends on which kind of property you focus on. We focus on 3 kinds of properties. Property number 1 is a infill lot. So the infill lots, just like everywhere, they're in demand by the buyer. For that is the builder. Buyer for that is also a house flipper that can't get enough houses because competition is so hard that they're buying now lots and building houses. They're doing ground up. A lot of house flippers are doing this right now. And the third kind of buyer for that kind of property is what we call a financial buyer. Somebody, particularly if it's an up and coming area, they buy the lot, They just do, they don't even go visit it. They just pay for it, take money off the stock market, wait for it. And as that area gets better and better and better and prices go higher and higher and higher, they might double, triple, quadruple the value of their property. And then they sell it 10 years later.
And that's like land banking.
Yep.
That's like land banking, right?
Okay.
So those are these for this kind of property. The second kind of property we focus on is in the path of growth. So in the outskirts of town. Now, if it's very close to the last development, it's the same buyers, right? Developer and so on, because they're ready to develop do another subdivision. If it's a little bit further out, like if it's 5, 10, sometimes depending on the size of the metro area, 30, 40 miles outside of town, like in Atlanta, Georgia, if you're 40 miles outside of, you're still in the vicinity of Atlanta, right? You can be here at 300, 400th Avenue in Phoenix, and you're still within the vicinity of the city. So if you're out there that way, then our buyers are two kinds of buyers. One is what we call the retiree, future retiree. Because unfortunately, there's an unfortunate statistic in the U.S. that says that, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's well over 50% of the people that are over 50 years old to have literally zero savings. So it's very, very sad, but it's a reality. So if you have zero savings and the average one-bedroom apartment in Phoenix goes for $1,800 or goes for $1,350 in rent, and you're going to make $2,000 in Social Security, how in the world will you be able to live here once you retire? It's almost impossible. Well, those in their 50s, usually in their mid-50s, they realize that they have a problem with that. So what they do is they buy a land 20 miles outside, piece of land 20 miles outside, and not so much in Arizona because it's such a desert out there, but in other areas, like you do that in Georgia, you do that in Texas, you do that in Colorado and so on, where it's nice and green and lush and so on. And there's a lot of little villages and things like that around. You buy yourself a piece of land out there somewhere, like 10, 20, 30 miles outside of town, and that is worth, let's say, $50,000. We get on a contract for $15,000. We sell it for $30,000 to them. They get a smoking deal. We make 15 grand. And then on top of it, or we get it for 10 and it's worth 50, and we sell it for 50 to them with seller financing. They give us 10 down. So again, we have our money back. They make $500 a month payment, which while they're in their 50s and have a job, they can do
that.
And then by the time they retire, they have paid that thing off. Now they put a mobile home on there, right, which you buy used somewhere, and they have a free and clear lot with a free and clear mobile home, and they have a dignified retirement.
They can live.
Right?
That's awesome.
So that's one where the other kind of property, the other buyer is actually one that has put land flipping on fire for the last 2.5 years. And that buyer is what we call the COVID buyer. So the COVID buyer is the buyer that is usually an affluent, middle-aged, younger to middle-aged family that does not want to live in the city. They would love to live on like 5 acres outside of town and build that dream home and have a horse and have a cow and have some goats and have five dogs and things like that. But because before COVID, they had to go to the office every day, they couldn't do it. And now there has been, the work from home world has completely revolutionized. While a lot of businesses ask their people to come back to work, a lot are not.
Right.
Like, so I estimate about a third of the workforce will be able to do either hoteling, which means that they only have to show up in the office like twice a week, or they can 100% work remotely from wherever they want to be. Well, that opens up the dream of living where you want to live and work where you want to work for millions of Americans. And they're buying land like you've never seen before. And that's going to stay here for a while.
Wow.
So they're buying land. They're going out there. It's like, let me buy and let me buy some 5 acres out there, and let me build a beautiful house out there, and move there with the kids. And if I need to go into town to the office, it's now, instead of a 20-minute commute, it's now an hour commute, but I only do it once a week.
Right.
That's amazing. Right? That's cool. Are that here to stay?
They're here to stay.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're here to stay, right? Because they love it. And then the last kind of property has typically one kind of buyer. The last kind of, well, it's 2 or 3 really, but the last kind of property is the large acreage in the rural areas. Now we're in Arizona. What do Arizonans do in the summer and the weekends?
Stay inside.
They stay inside, or what do the outdoors people go?
Oh, hiking.
North. Let's
They go north.
Yeah.
They go up north, right? Flagstaff, 78 degrees in summer, right?
Yep.
Sedona, 90 degrees in summer and cool mornings and things like that. There is tons of land up there that is chopped up into 5, 10, 20, 40 acre parcels. And you look at Friday afternoon on the I-17 on the way north, it's a beeline of $100,000 RVs, $100,000 ATV, or like tens of thousands of dollars ATV, big fat F-350 trucks with a trailer and dirt bike and quad and razor and things like that. That stuff is expensive, right? Like affluent people that drive up north and go to an RV park, even though they hate it, and what they really want is their own 20 acres. They want to have their own mini ranch. Take 5 of their friends. Each of them brings their RV, brings their things, hang out there, dirt bike, horse around, right? Go shooting, go bow and arrow shooting, go hunting, do all this stuff, have a base up there. And it's these outdoor recreational people. They got money, they're ready to buy, and this is a dream come true for them. So we just sell to those.
Okay.
That's
Great.
Awesome.
Great. All right. So you talk about how you got started. You talk about your niche, what you're doing. Now, how are you teaching other people to do what you're doing, Jack?
Well, so we have, I'm coming to AZREIA to teach it, right? I'm coming to AZREIA in August. So I'm super excited about that. We have a lot of successful AZREIA students already. So yeah, we teach them exactly our steps. We teach them exactly our steps. We're having a live event coming up in October. We teach through home study course, coaching, live events. We have different kind of things. We started in 2008, so we're 14 months in, 14 years doing this already. We've really perfected that. We have students just talked to a student from Germany who is doing this remotely from Germany because it's 100% virtual. You don't have to go see the land.
Right.
Like
dirt looks like dirt.
Dirt looks like dirt, right? You have Google Maps, Google Street View, aerial pictures, all the stuff. I mean, Michelle and I, in the first few years, we went and looked every weekend. We would come back from our trip, even when having a job, we would jump in an SUV and drive up there and look at all these properties to make sure that we're not buying anything crappy. We haven't done that since 2006 anymore. We haven't looked at a single property we own or flipped for 14 years right now.
Wow.
Or 16 years, sorry,
It's
16
amazing.
years, right? So it's complete virtual model. As a result, we now have students. I talked to one student that sits in Germany. He's on track to do $4 million in profits this year. And he comes now, during COVID, he wasn't even able to come. And he started that right when COVID started. The week COVID, everything shut down, he started doing land flipping. And so he did a few $100,000 the first year, and now he's finalizing his second year. He's gonna make about $490,000 he did make $490,000 in May alone. May of 2022. It's like,
wow,
it's crazy. And so how do we teach this? We have classes, we have coaches, we have coaching, we have sessions, we have Facebook groups, we just go all animal on our students because we believe that the way to success is done by human intervention and by accountability. Even though this is way simpler than anything else and than most other methods in real estate, people still stumble. People still have questions. You come across the deal falls apart. How do you fix it? And so on. So we are now a team of 60 people in our coaching side of things. We're just all committed to our student success.
Okay.
Wow. So if you have a pen and paper, notepad, Jack's going to be with us here at AZREIA, August 8th. It's a Monday night at our Phoenix monthly meeting. That's going to be at venue 8600. Then you're going to come with us down to Tucson, to the Tucson Association of Realtors. It's August 9th, Tuesday night. And then we're going to do a drill down, right? And we said Wednesday, right?
Wednesday night. Yes.
All right. So on Wednesday, what are you going to talk about at the drill down?
At the drill down, we're going particularly into the power of seller financing because literally, if you do a wholesale deal, you make great money, right? You buy a $50,000 property for $10,000, sell it for 30, make 20 grand. If you instead sell that same $50,000 property with seller financing, you can make as much as $70,000 on that same deal.
Yep.
How? We'll show that on Wednesday.
So I should go back a little bit. August 8th and 9th, we're going to talk how to get into virtual land flipping.
Virtual land flipping. Right?
Wednesday, seller financing.
Yep.
Then we're going to invite everyone to hang out with us on Saturday, which is August 13th, probably here at the office or at venue 8600. What are we going to learn then?
Well, I'm going to take the exact steps. There's a 6-step process to make this happen. And I'm going to go walk exactly through those steps.
So dive a little deeper.
In deeper and exact detail of how it works with unlimited Q&A. I mean, after having done 4,500 deals, I can pretty much answer most questions, I would think. And we are completely open. I'm there. I'm there for any question you guys want to ask, and I'm here for anyone of the audience wants to ask. And more than anything, I'm just going to lay out the exact steps in a logical way and make sure that everyone understands just how powerful this solution is.
I'm excited. So yeah, so if you're listening, when this comes out, keep an eye out on our calendar on AZREIA.org. We'll have updated information on times and locations. So that's amazing, man. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Anything on your side, Marcus?
No. Well, Jack, man, thank you so much. You gave us a lot of education, a lot of information on today. So you guys make sure you follow the AZREIA calendar. Go to AZREIA.org. That's AZREIA.org. Look for the calendar link and make sure you're at Jack's event, because land flipping is really, really a big deal. So
it is.
Awesome, Jack. How do we get hold of you? How do people find you?
Well, you can simply go to our website. I mean, landprofitfund.com. You can go there. You can go fund with FUN. You can go to our Facebook group, Land Profit Generator, Real Estate Investing Group. But more than anything, just we'll probably put something on AZREIA, right?
Yep.
To find us and just go to AZREIA.
Awesome. Love it. All right, Jack. Appreciate you being here, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys
thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much. Guys, you know what to do. Move at the speed of instructions.
There you go.
So get out there. You got the instructions. Make things happen. We at the AZREIA Show, we love to have you guys here, and we love our loyal listeners. So once again, have a great day, and we will see you in person.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Delprete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to AZREIA.org and learn more about our community.